Happy New Year and blessings to 2025. We recognize that this may not feel very happy to everyone because of some trauma or experiences of 2024. We invite you to breathe and get centered and know that you're loved and know that you're not alone. A dear friend of mine sent me a prayer poem this morning, and I thought we'd open sharing it. It's by my friend Brian Seth Hurst, and Brian is a life adventurer, a storyteller, a performer, a producer. So thanks, Brian, for sending this. And so I want to read this to you and have you ruminate on it. A New Year Prayer by Brian Seth Hurst. May your blessings increase, and may you stop to count them each day. May both your good days and your bad days be filled with inspiration and love. May the smiles, the kindnesses, and the time you give to others be returned in grace. May you remember that your presence or absence truly makes a difference. May you have one person who is there to believe in you even when you don't, and to love you even when you don't. May you find value in any given moment and in every person who crosses your path. May the peace that is deep within you well up and fill every part of you. May you remember that if you think you are walking in darkness, you are the light. May you see, feel, and know that you are part of something so much larger than yourself. If you have been hurt, may you be healed. And if you have caused hurt, may you be forgiven. May the laughter and joy ring through your heart and into the world. May you remember to give and receive thanks. And may love ultimately be your reason for everything. Thank you, Brian. What a beautiful sentiment. What an amazing safety net, a cushion, an invitation as we step into 2025. And so, as we conclude this three-part series of dealing with holiday blues and grief Grinch, today we're asking the question, where do we go from here? What's going on? In the words of the late, great Marvin Gaye, or living with grief through hope. So the major takeaway today is, in love, as we walk through grief, know there's hope. Know you're not alone. And so when we think about these particular aspects of life, think about three terms. And because my brain is wired as a poet, I usually use acronyms. So this is AAA. Attitude, awareness, action. Attitude, awareness, action. Everything that we think, we give all the meaning it has. Everything begins with a thought. And we're all blessed to be embodied with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is first mine. So as I set my day, my thoughts orchestrate where I go. My thoughts orchestrate how I feel. If I'm waking up and being alert, if I go, oh, this is going to be a bad day, I've already had the thought, bad day, I'll have the feelings of bad day. What happens if I'm awake one more time? I awake in gratitude, first mind. And with first mind, then we can be honest about who we are and what's going on with us, what we need. What do we need today? What do you need today? What do each of us need to do today based upon what that overarching need is? And so one way to think about that is to make a list in your life, do some reflection, and say, what are my three MVPs, most valuable priorities? And when I set my most valuable priorities. That then gives me a map, a place to start with looking at how I can do life in peace. All the money, all the praise, all the accolades cannot give us peace. That peace that passes all understanding is a spiritual gift, needs to be generated from the inside. If we never get another thank you, another award, it's important for us to be okay. We need to know that we're living in our purpose, that we're okay, that we're going through grief. We're not the grief. Sometimes people try to rush us through grief. Other times we judge ourselves for it seems to be too long to go through this grief. Grief will have its way. Therefore, we need to make space for grief. We don't necessarily wallow in it. We acknowledge it. And we know that we need to deal with grief around our spirit, our emotions, our bodies, and our thoughts. It's important to have someone we can trust to talk to. Sometimes they're group therapy groups, or sometimes churches have grief groups. So please, if you're going through grief, you're not alone. I invite you to have an attitude of gratitude and an attitude that I can live through my grief. I have hope. It's important to realize that I'm not a bad person. I'm not less than because this grief is a struggle. When we love, when we love deeply and powerfully, and we have a loss, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a lover, a child, a pet, a job, a betrayal of a relationship, a divorce, all of those are losses, emptiness. All of those are losses that have accompanying grief, which is important for us to allow space for that. So to have an attitude of openness, then we can say, what are our dreams for 2025? What are our desires? What is the desire of my heart? The late theologian ethicist, Reverend Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon would say, do the work your soul must have. So I'm going to interpolate that a little bit and say, do the life your soul, your mind, your body, your spirit, your heart must have. We have a limited time in this space. We come into bodies and we'll leave the bodies. Our spirits never die. While we're in this space called Earth, invitation and challenge number one, have with an attitude of gratitude, declare and say what your desires are, and then create a life around those desires as you transgress and transform and move through grief. That's attitude. Second, awareness. And if you have a question or a comment, feel free to drop it in the chat. And I'm thanking the Reverend Terrell Lloyd this morning for being my major tech person and for inspiring this whole process. Again, questions, comments, we welcome to drop them in the chat. Point two, awareness. Who are we? Who are you? Who am I? Sometimes when we answer that question, we answer it by stating the job we have or the role in the family systems that we play. That's not who we are. Those are roles we play. Those are functions. I'm not going to tell you who you are. That's for you and God to decide. And who you are today may appear different from who you were last year this time. So with awareness of I'm going through grief, I have challenges going through grief, it's important to ask ourselves, how can we be optimistic and have hope in the middle of grief? How can we have hope? I just lost my best friend. Our mother died a few weeks ago. Our dad died. Or I felt betrayed by someone who I thought was my ace boon coon, thought was my best buddy, and I found out they lied on me. I gave everything I could to this job. I was there early, stayed late, pushed all the product, did the tech, did the creative part, and they downsized. They kicked me to the curb and then hired somebody younger who they could pay less to do my job. All of those are losses. I lost my pet. I lost my kitty. a few months back. Those are losses because those losses have an impact on who we are. So when we are aware and not be afraid of the grief, not be afraid of naming the loss, not being afraid of taking the time we need to do that, with that heightened awareness, then we can be open to seeing that we do not want to self-sabotage. Many times, some of us are our own worst enemy. We don't get enough sleep. We eat things that we know are not good for us. We surround ourselves with people who always act like we're their doormat. It's almost like the more they hurt us, the more we return for more hurt. That's self-sabotage. We don't need to do that. And yes, when we have losses, we can feel lonely. And that's no crime. There's no shame. Whatever feelings we have, they are our feelings. Sometimes journaling can help, getting a therapist, a pastoral counselor, but someone who's skilled in working through grief. Grief is a specific kind of loss. And with each loss, if we have not processed earlier losses, then sometimes those earlier losses ricochet. And so instead of dealing with one loss, we're dealing with multiple losses over the last decade because we never stopped to process them. We did not have the awareness, or we were too afraid, or we didn't take care of kids. Whatever the whatevers are, we did not give us a gift of time to process a loss. And by the way, all hospice programs have grief support systems. Even if your loved one didn't go through their particular organization or program. So please, there is tons of help. There's no one for anyone to go through this grief process alone. And with our awareness, then we have to ask ourselves, what are my challenges? Our finances need to be different since someone is gone, or I lost a job, or divorce, or betrayed, or lost my pet, whatever the loss, empty nest. Finances all will be different. How do we handle that? Do I feel lonely? How do I handle that? Perhaps getting out and going to events, finding an accountability partner. By the way, challenge number 2, invite everyone to have a community of accountability going forward. People who have your back. People say, looking a little tired, are you okay? Or people who will know what you need, what you like to eat, and they'll drop a gift card in the mail. Or you'll get a text for an Instacart. Or you'll get someone to give you a card for a massage. And that's something that we can do for our person so we know are grieving. We can send them words of encouragement. We can do random acts of kindness. And please do not be afraid to ask for help. Being prayerful, you can decide what that help looks like, and maybe you don't know. But one of the first things would be good to do is go and have a full physical workup to see how your body is processing this grief. Because grief does affect us physically. When some people are going through grief, they lose a bunch of weight. Some people have insomnia, they can't sleep. Some people can't stop sleeping. Some people can't stop eating. Some people get drunk every evening. Some people will become even more of a workaholic. Anytime these types of signals, we're out of balance. So part of the awareness is to learn who we are now, to be aware of letting go of the past and helping to experience forgiveness for what we've done to ourselves and others, and also really have a new system of saying, I'm going to live in the moment. I'm going to live wholly, fully in this holy instant, in this moment. So if I'm going to eat right now, I'm going to make a nice place setting with a napkin and get a special plate, a beautiful plate, and I'm going to chew 20, 30, 40 times. So I really luxuriate. I really engage my food. If I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to go walk and I'm going to notice, do I see birds? What are the colors of the houses? Do I see a lot of people around? Is it quiet? What's new about my neighborhood? We want to heighten our awareness And we want to invest in a family, a tribe, a clan who can support us. Some of us have great, amazing families. Some of us have families with challenges. And FYI, all families are dysfunctional on some level. Some are more dysfunctional than others. So if we can only be near our parent or our kids, our grandkids, as long as they're 2,000 miles away, there's no shame in our game. That's the reality. We don't need to intentionally put ourselves in more dysfunction than is already there. So this is my third invitation. Create your family who can love and support you where you are. Create your family, and that can look all kinds of ways. Adopt an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a sister friend, a brother friend, a young child. I have young people who part of my clan, both within my family biologically and marriage, and then I have folks beyond, so that I can have folk to support me on my journey. And also embrace your gifts of laughter. Daily, I would invite you to experience some type of laughter as part of the healing process. That's about awareness, because we need to laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. We don't need a prescription. We don't have to go to the doctor's visit. We can flip on the YouTube or flip on a video, or just think about some of the funny things we sing and have a good old belly laugh. That's about awareness. And in that, to take again a look. What is my attitude about life today? Who has God called me to be today? And how can I love God and me and neighbor? That's not arrogant. That's not being selfish. I need to love me today. I need to ask for what I need today. And those who love me will give me the space and support to do that. If they cannot support me in this part of my journey, that's okay. That lets me know I don't need to be around them for this season. And lastly, action. So we started off with attitude. What do I think? Because everything begins with a thought. And with a thought comes awareness. What are my needs? What changes do I need to do in life? Who do I need to associate with? And remember, in life, it's good to always have folks at a space in their lives where we want to aspire to. And also remember those from which we've come. So it's not about judgment. It's about being aware. Action. When we come from gratitude, being grateful for life, the gift, because everybody didn't make it. There are people who were with us last year, healthy, well, they're not here. So we have limited time, and it's not about fear, but it's about embracing love. Love through action. Love is freedom, appreciation, compassionate communication, trust, and sincerity. We want to, in this action moment, say, what are our gifts and graces? How do I want to move forward in 2025? How do I need to move? What do I need to do? What actions do I need to take that are best for me? I realized this summer that I needed to work out. I got my gym membership, so Monday through Saturday in the mornings, I'm at the gym for several reasons. One, my body needs to be engaged. I feel better. It's like, oh my, I said, oh, thank you, Kirk-Duggan, for waking me up. And in this particular exercise, because God woke me up earlier. Also, going to the gym gives me the opportunity to get out of the house. And this is especially important for people who live alone. I invite you to get some kind of daily activity that gets you out of the house. Whether you're retired or you work from home, do something that gets you outside of the house. Plant a garden, go to walking, get another hobby, but do something that gets you out of the house. Because to live and grow means it's important to choose meaningful dreams and companions and to map out the direction we want to go in. These days we have Siri. Back when they used to have to get AAA maps that would be that thick if we're going to go cross country. Now we simply plug in our phone. I'm leaving point A, going to point B. But artificial intelligence knows to get from A to B, there has to be a map. There has to be markers. We go so many miles here, we take exit there, we make a left turn there, we go around that circle, and then we are where we want to go, whether that's a destination of 10-minute drive or 10 hours. It's important, and I invite you today, get you some poster board or butcher block paper and get you some markers. Map out. What do you want? What do you want? What is your desire, rather? Let me use the word desire because want sort of implies lack. What do you desire? What is the desire of your heart? What is the work? What is the joy? What is the hobby that your soul must have? What brings you joy? So this is an opportunity, whatever brings you joy, is to step into that. So next challenge number 4, I think, or 5, today, map out your dreams, map out your desires. And in that process, remember that God really does provide. My dad, the late Rudolph Valentino Kirk I, who was the first African-American deputy sheriff in the state of Louisiana, who was sworn in July 2nd, 1952, and never had to fire his gun in line of duty, serving for 27 years, reminded us all the time, God provides. Everything belongs to God. We're open, we ask, we do the work, the miracles unfold. We meet the people we need to meet. And it's important, again, to be very clear. And I would invite those, whether it's a new entrepreneurial journey or a relationship, or it's about a house or a car, be specific about what it is you desire. Make a list and then figure out what will that dream cost in terms of time, in terms of what relationships that need to be built, in terms of what types of financial resources, emotional resources, all the things that go in that you think. And then be prayerful and see, who do I know that I can share this dream with? Who might be my cheerleader, who can encourage me? That way you can take the action. And to know that God is real, God's promises are true, and I have friends who are atheists, some are agnostic. What I do know is that we all believe in something, whether it's nature or dynamics or gravity, science. We all know this world is much bigger than us. So I invite you to, again, reassess what is your relationship with God or your higher power. What does that relationship look like? Is it an abusive one? Because some of us have gods that beat us up. That's not healthy. So I invite you to switch off that type of God, but embrace a God that loves you unconditionally, that can help you to forgive yourself for any things that you think that you did wrong, those things that you did commit, those things that you did not do that you thought you should do. So again, what are our sensibilities? What do we need to do in terms of our attitude? How do we need to empower our thinking in healthy, creative, loving ways? Once we're clear about our attitude, what about our awareness? What am I thinking? Because what I think shapes what I feel. What am I feeling? If I'm stuck, what kind of support do I need to get to a place of being at peace? Grief takes the time it takes. There are no magic buttons, no magic pills. Grief takes work on a mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical level. When I needed to deal with the death of my late husband, I did a lot of hot yoga. I learned how to sweat and cry and stretch. I did 5 out of 7 days a week of hot yoga. Whatever physical, maybe you have challenges with mobility, do some. There are a lot of videos on YouTube in terms of yoga, in terms of breathing. I invite some type of physical practice, some type of spiritual practice, working with a practitioner, working with a friend, some journaling, but a way to deal with the spiritual, a way to deal with the mental. There are a lot of really good books out on grief. There are a lot of podcasts on grief. So the resources are enormous. And you may be saying, but Doc, I'm stuck. This grief is so heavy, I can't move. You can breathe. So the times you feel really, really stuck, I invite you to do a process where you inhale for 4, hold for 6, exhale for 8. And just do that for you to sort of bring yourself in. Know that you're never, ever alone. Know that God loves you. Know that there are options when we come to 2025. Love you. Forgive you. If there's some things you don't like about you, we pray you can come to grips with that and say, you know what? I'm okay. I always wanted to be 6 feet tall like my dad. And I've been 5 feet 3 3/4 until I'm now 5 feet 3 1/2. But I have a big mouth. So my mouth compensates for my height. Therefore, it's acceptance. So with a healthy attitude and a beautiful awareness and healthy, loving action, we can be grateful. Know that you're loved. And may 2025 be one that is different, one that is joyful. And while there's, last thing I'll say, there's a lot of grief in the world. So please be careful to what you listen to, what movies you watch, because we want to be careful what we feed into this brain. There have been several catastrophic airline crashes recently. We know there's issues around devastation, tsunamis, there's floods. So many people are going through because of hurricanes and tornadoes, so many losses. I invite you to breathe and to maybe go to a park. Go someplace where you see little kids running around, they're so carefree. And get in touch with that playful little kid, because we all have little kids inside us. Have a blessed 2025. Take good care. My pleasure. And stay in tune with Dr. Cheryl's Enterprises. More to come. God bless. Thank you. And thanks to Reverend Terrell.